Hey guys, this is the Superdwarf Show brought to you by Ship Your Reptiles. Now, my name is Jeremy, and today's host, we all know him, we all love him. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Garrett Hartle. Garrett Hartle, everyone. Look at him. What the heck?
Hey,
Is that a. Look at that.
how's it going, everybody? What is up? What is what?
Man,
This?
it like surprised me what you were holding. That can't be a ball python, can
Oh,
it?
I was gonna say this is our snake to name.
Really?
It is a ball python. Special treat for you guys. Yeah, we have a big, beautiful ball python without a name.
How many dislikes do you think we're gonna get for that?
Oh, I don't know. You can tell. You can see it all. You can start counting.
Yeah, I guess.
uh,
So, yeah, that's our snake to name.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so I picked this girl up actually at the LA Super Show, Reptile Super Show a couple weekends ago. You were mentioning this. The show is sponsored tonight by Ship Your Reptiles, as it is every week. And this girl was actually shipped to us with Ship Your Reptiles,
Oh, yeah.
which I guess maybe that doesn't seem surprising because you guys know that we use Ship Your Reptiles for everything we ship out. Whoa, a ball python that strikes. Did you see that? I'll talk with my hands a little bit less. I'm sorry.
Wow.
She's new. Or maybe this is why the breeder got rid of her. I don't know. I like a girl with a little bit of sass, though. But this was actually what, you guys know Ashley. You know what I'm talking about. Love you, babe. Okay, honey. Okay, here. We'll set you down so you can chill. So I actually won this girl at the US Arc auction, kind of by accident. She came in a package with other stuff. But we do a lot of educational stuff around here.
Yeah.
And having a big ball python, although not a striky one, is great for educational stuff. Hopefully it's just because she's in blue and it's a new place and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
Yeah. But I was able to take advantage of probably one of the logistically most difficult. Susie is usually in the house. Susie, if you're here, say what's up in the chat. We'll set her down and let her chill out for a bit. Stick around to the end of the show. You can help me name her. But one of the things that they do is like if you're traveling at a show, which I was, obviously I flew to LA for the show and I drove back. So I'll tell you a little more of that story in a minute. But I couldn't bring her with me and I needed to get her shipped safely back here to the office. So I was able to take her over to the Ship Your Reptiles booth at the show on Sunday morning after the auction and drop her off. And I did get another animal also. I was joking with somebody, you know who you are, that they were like, so what are you getting? And I was like, nothing. So probably like 2 or 3 animals. And I did end up getting 2 animals. Yeah, I'll have to have the other one shipped here as well using Ship Your Reptiles. But I got her at the auction. You guys can help us name her tonight. We'll get her all settled in, established here, and hopefully... I mean, I don't know about you guys, but every time, like, I can literally remember the first time I saw a picture of a pied ball python. And I was like, I will own one of those one day.
The world went crazy, right?
It is probably one of the coolest. I'm not so much a ball python collector myself, but I will give them this. Pied ball pythons are one of the craziest looking snakes out there.
100%. 100% agree with you.
So anyway, great time of the show. It was like a week and a half ago now. I still have no voice from it, which was pretty crazy. But it was a really fun show. So
I'm sure we could talk a little bit more about that on our after party. But as you guys might have guessed from the thumbnail, today we're going to be remembering Brian Barczyk and all the things he did for the reptile community. I know Garrett has a couple stories about him. I'm sure some of you do as well. We'll get into that in a little bit, but yeah, man, he's gonna be missed.
the way we do things in my family, in the Hartle family, we've always done more of like celebration of life type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Kind of good old Irish wake style celebration of the people that we lost. Brian was definitely one to celebrate. So yeah, I would love to hear in the chat section if you guys have ever met him or you knew him personally. I'd love to hear your favorite Brian Barczyk stories, moments, things like that. There's so many ways that he reached out and impacted so many different people. I think it would be really cool I don't think we'll ever hear all the stories. You know what I mean? Right. All the impact that he had on us as individuals.
Right.
And I think that was the cool thing about Brian too. He wasn't like wasn't like he was known for what he did in the reptile industry, other than, I mean, I guess if you want to count like a number of subscribers on YouTube, which is great. Like he did have a lot of subscribers. That's awesome. But I think his real legacy was like moment by moment by moment, giving people hope, encouraging people, advocating for animals' best lives, advocating for people to follow their passion and their dreams, even when it's not reptiles. Um, I mean, yeah, was just an awesome guy for so many people.
Definitely get into a couple of those stories a little later. But yeah,
Keep
that's
dropping them in the chats, though. I want to read
seriously.
through them. Yeah.
We got a little more sad news in the reptile industry, like the
Yes.
title says. Garrett, you know that Aiden's reptile room suffered a fire.
Yeah, you guys remember Aiden? Aiden used to do all kinds of stuff with us on social media. He used to do our IGTV channel and ran our Instagram for a long time. We basically watched Aiden grow up here. I mean, I hired Aiden when he was 17 years old. And I think geez, I don't even know how many years have gone by. He's going to be like 22, 23 now. I don't know how old you are, Aiden. But, yeah, so Aiden had a ton of reptiles. He had pets, like kind of, famously loved pets, right? For those of you guys that knew him. He had a couple of animals that he was establishing as breeding projects, especially some crested geckos, and then, probably, guilty as charged, hooked him up with some Superdwarf retics. And then he had a lot of rescues, just random stuff,
Yeah.
Aiden was a little dude with a giant heart. And so he was always rescuing animals. He always hated to see them suffer, or the idea that that they would be put down for something when they potentially could be saved. And so he ended up with a bunch of animals like that. I know that the night of his fire, and he lost like basically everything as far as his reptile stuff. But incredibly, all the animals survived the fire. I know he did lose a couple little ones, like some of his baby cresties and some stuff like that within the days after the fire. But I had a house fire once when I was about Aiden's age, and I was not able to save anything. All of my animals died. It was terrible and it was surreal. So I knew exactly what he was going through. He called me when the fire department was still on its way. It was like, I need help, And I said, I don't know like what we have. I don't know what all animals you have. I know it's a lot, but we have our quarantine area that we can set them up, which is behind you there,
Right.
Jeremy. If you click to your camera,
Back-
you guys will be able to see kind of our little quarantine area that is currently full of Aiden's animals. So we just wanted to shout it out. Aiden has done a ton. He really loved you guys in the community. One of my favorite moments from him was like his first interview with Tyler Ruggie, which was like his favorite pet tuber. And he was giggling like a little fangirl or whatever, interviewing Tyler for our channel. And Tyler and I obviously are like good friends and everything now. But that was really cool. So many moments when he worked here.
it's funny you mentioned, we actually have one of those right now. It's one of the older
You have a
days.
clip?
Yeah,
Oh,
before
okay.
we even moved into this facility.
Yeah, let's check it out. Show him who Aiden was.
Way back when. Yo,
Yeah.
guys.
Hey Garrett, I'm done. Done cleaning. I'm all
Okay,
done.
what else do we need to do?
Make a video.
Make a video.
Yeah, you haven't uploaded anything in a long time.
Do you have my camera?
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name's Aiden Prentice, and I'm new around here at Reach Out Reptiles. I'm the new employee. I'm an animal caretaker. I decided that I wanted to do a video on my favorite snake. He's my favorite because he's basically all black and he has that beautiful head pattern on him and the iridescence on him. He's just such a beautiful snake.
Yeah, so that was Aiden. Any kind of support you could give him would mean the world to him.
Where can they go? I know he has a goal set.
Yeah.
And he has, I think he said until like early April. So really just like a couple months here, maybe 8 weeks. But where's that at, Jeremy?
Right in the description, we have the link to his GoFundMe. That's where you can find his goal. That's where you can go and help him. And we were kind of talking earlier. He has a goal set, but like you said, he's
It's going to be so much. I mean, he has just 17 snakes alone over there, and a lot of them are like, subadult or adult super dwarves, things like that. They need some pretty serious caging. He needs thermostats. He needs bedding. He needs food. He needs water bowls. I mean, if you've ever had a house fire, like after a certain point, nothing is salvageable. Everything is trashed. And so even though the animals are alive, all his stuff is trashed. He's going to need more than, I can't remember what he set for his goal. It might have been like $5,000 or something, but it's going to cost more than that to get him set up. So here's the deal. If you guys are donating to Aiden's GoFundMe so that he can use that animal to help, or that money to help his animals rebuild their lives, I'm going to reach out to some of the cage manufacturers and people who sell thermostats and stuff that we have contacts with and connections, and see if they can get cages for me, either, like whatever they can do. What can they get them at cost? Can they get them almost at cost or something, and try to stretch those dollars as far as you can to really get these animals set up as quickly as possible and well. I mean, they have a home. They're at least not homeless here in Pittsburgh in the middle of winter. We got like 6 inches of snow yesterday. But in these little quarantine tubs, like some of them, I mean, it's not enough. And they're all stressed out. Retics, sometimes when they're stressed, they'll push their faces and stuff. And some of these tubs are minimal requirement or under to house these guys, but better than being homeless. So we need to get them set up as quickly as possible. So anything you guys can help with that would be awesome. Click that link below.
Let's get into Brian Barczyk.
Yeah, so the big thing is we all kind of knew that this was coming. I talked to Brian, I think it was back in April. It was like literally right after he was diagnosed. For those of you guys that don't know, he did pass away on the 15th, and it was from pancreatic cancer. And man, so many of us, and I know so many of you guys, were just really rooting for him to go through. Brian was a fighter, he was a man of faith. He was really, fighting, waiting on his miracle, and doing everything that he could to beat this thing, and it didn't go down that way. But yeah, I talked to him in April, and he was telling me all his plans, like the Legacy Aquarium really hadn't even started hardly yet. There was, he had the Airbnb house, the aquarium house, I think he calls it, that he was doing. He was doing a bunch of things with the city. He was doing, the guy was like, we do a lot around here. We're always hustling and building crazy things. And, the last couple of years we went from my garage to this big place, starting with Aiden part-time to all the employees. So as somebody that works my tail off with the reptile industry, talking to that guy made me exhausted. He is probably one of the busiest and hardest working people that I possibly knew. And the thing was, he was doing what he loved, so he always wanted to be there. Some of the really hard stuff was moments, like very personal moments that he shared on his vlog, on the Reptarium channel, as he was going through treatment and all that kind of stuff. It was crazy. So when I was at the Reptile Super Show, that was the big thing everyone was talking about. Like I saw Dave. If you guys watch Dave Kaufman's channel, you'll see us on there on his thing. He's asking about like what's everyone's favorite reptiles. Of course, I got to hang out with Brian Cusco. I actually bought, as I told you, I bought another animal. It was another ball python, and I didn't buy it from Brian. I bought it from his son Noah, who was there earning a commission on his snake sales that weekend. So I bought I bought a ball python off him, and I got him he was eyeing up these little mini bonsai trees as like a tip, for hooking me up with a cool snake. So if you guys haven't subscribed, jump on, and on our next live, Jeremy, you remind us, right? Make a note. We'll pull out. She should be here by now. Oh, gave away a clue. It's a female, of the snake that I bought from Noah. So that'll be really fun. But, yeah, no matter who we were talking to and doing this like reptile stuff, Brian hadn't officially passed away yet. He was in hospice at the time, but it was like, we all kind of knew that, that it was coming soon, and that It was definitely the undertone for the weekend. Hey, check this out. Jordan Carpenter, you guys know him from Heartland Reptiles, was just texting me. He goes, "Hey man, I'm happy to sell Aiden some stacks, playgrounds, or singles at cost. I don't know if that's still too pricey for him or whatever, but maybe if I can see what kind of volume discount I can get for him too." And then he says, I was also thinking we could reach out to Ryan for some help with lighting, possibly. That's a great idea. Ryan with VivTech is who he's talking about. Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate that. But that's the kind of stuff that I want to do, is try to pull that stuff. And that's very generous, Jordan. Thank you very much for doing that. Those are like crazy top-notch cages too. If you guys haven't seen them yet, to check out Heartland Reptiles. But yeah, anyway, back to the show. As fun as it was to see the people and the animals and all that. And again, Dave did a great job with the video if you guys want to kind of recapture the moment. But it had a serious undertone, you know.
Real quick, we have a quick clip from one of our older YouTube videos where you and him are kind of talking about this enclosure, talking about the welfare of animals. I'm gonna pull that up for 1 second. We can just kind of talk about what is going on here. So here you are. Your face is
Different.
a little different. Yeah. What's going on?
Some of you guys might remember, if you've been longtime followers of the channel, I think it was like 2 years ago now that video was taken. I got bit by a tick and I got Lyme's disease. And one of the results of that was Bell's palsy, where half of my face, I think it was this half, became paralyzed. So I was talking funny. I looked like this. I mean, it looked like I had a stroke or something. And it lasted like, I want to say it was like 3 weeks, 3 months. I don't know. It's pretty crazy if any of you guys have ever had to deal with anything like that involving your face, like major scars, injuries, or paralysis of the face. It's not like I care too much what I look like, obviously, but it's not this mug isn't making all the money, but it is a scary thing. Anyway, during all that, I had a trip planned to the Reptarium, and we were starting to think about building some of the cool stuff around here, and I was blown away by Brian's ingenuity in pulling the Reptarium together. He worked closely with companies like Universal Rock and stuff to build a world-class exhibit, for those of you guys that haven't been, in an outrageously short period of time. So I wanted to know all of his secrets, and that's what he's telling me there. He told me that his favorite enclosure at the time was Ivy's enclosure, his green anaconda. And he was showing how it made us work, and you can just see in his eyes and his face and the things that he's saying, he's like, "Oh man, I love it so much. I've got this big waterfall and filtration thing." And his big thing was stressing the glass panel from ceiling to floor, where the anaconda had this huge body of water and large land mass, and just how much her personality changed by getting her out, working with her, having her have that enrichment. You know, he's talking about the cage. He's like, "Oh, the glass, this, and the filter, that." And then you can see his eyes light up as he's like, that gave her the confidence to be who she really wanted to be. And I mean, you can just tell the guy was in love with his green anaconda and loving that she was having fun in an interactive way with the thousands of guests that he has come through there in a really beneficial way. So that was a really fun weekend. And I'll tell you, his son, Noah, laughed so hard at me that he couldn't breathe with my face, because I think I was doing an impersonation of somebody. And just with my impersonation, he was laughing so hard. And I was like, wow, I thought I told the story well, but not that well, you know? And he's like, "No, dude, I'm totally laughing at you, not with you. Your face is hilarious." And I was like, "Oh, gee, thanks, Noah." But it was pretty funny. We were hanging out at their house, and Lori was there, and it was just a good time, you know?
Yeah.
Really good time. The guy was so generous, so giving, so welcoming. It was awesome. So,
I mean, he's been everywhere. He's done stuff with Mr.
yeah.
And such an influential person. I can tell from the comments right now, nothing but love for this guy.
Yeah.
Some of the stories people were telling. I mean,
I'd seen him at reptile shows and stuff when he used to vend more, because he was more known as like a reptile breeder in the beginning with BHB, and they still breed a lot of cool reptiles. But as he began moving towards the exhibits, it was more about, less about like, let's make all these animals. For those of you guys that don't know Brian, like he set up BHB way back in the day. We wouldn't have things like albino milk snakes and a lot of corn snake mutations, and if it wasn't for Brian. Like he set up the reptile industry in many ways, especially later with the ball pythons. That was kind of like his last hurrah, with like big, huge impact in breeding. But many years ago, this was probably like 2009 or something, maybe 2010, after, having met him and hung out with him at reptile shows and stuff like that, he came to where I worked at Prehistoric Pets, and they had their little zoo exhibit set up. And so I think Jay wasn't there for the day or something, or at least not at the time. So I got to spend like 6 hours with Barczyk, just showing him the back rooms, how all the systems worked. It was really funny. They have like a red ear slider rescue pond at Prehistoric Pets. And I showed him how all that worked. So it was like literally the opposite, the flip of that clip we just watched with Ivy's tank. And that turtle feeding rescue pond is now literally what he's setting up at the Legacy Aquarium. So it's really cool if you guys go jump on Brian's blog and you see that stuff. I remember him being super interested in that. People being able to get up there and interact and feed the turtles and stuff, and then having a place for these otherwise like unloved turtles or whatever, and trying to just gather up all the babies that had been, neglected by the reptile industry, so to speak, and giving them a purpose and a home and a way to touch and educate children in a really cool way. I love that stuff. I mean, he was always about pulling it in full circle. He really knew his mission statement. I mean, it was similar to like what we say around here is about, benefiting the animals and the people who love them, and that's why we do things the way we do. You know what I mean? We try to be that positive force in the industry, not the he said, she said, let's be our negative all the time. And honestly, I think that's our biggest loss with Brian, is that he was so kind, so positive. He was never checking his text messages while he was talking to you. He was looking you in the eye. You know what I mean? And that, even if you're 5 years old, he's getting down on his knees and looking you in the eye, listening to your heart and sharing that passion and love with you, like electronically. It was crazy. So he really had a gift for that. It was very cool. It was very cool.
And I wanna say thank you to everyone in the comments saying everything about Brian, just little stories I'm reading. I mean, he like took the words right out of my mouth. He was an amazing guy with a huge love for
It was really cool. He always did whatever he could. And, that was one of the things that we thought, if you guys tuned in for our last live that I was here for, we talked about 2024 being a year of just giving back to the community in fun and exciting and positive ways. That's how we started like the snow giveaway thing. I think Joe actually brought. We'll pull some snakes out for you guys to check out. And I want to hear some of these. Yeah, Joe brought these girls out. This is our first of many, and the one that we're doing this month. So basically we have snow females. You can watch last week's episode about this and get all the details if you want. Look at these gorgeous animals. This is a purple snow Superdwarf Dwarf Cross retic. And then this is also kind of a purple snow. I mean, it is a purple snow, but it also has Mochino and Golden Child in the mix. So what we're doing is we're selling 3 snow females. 2 people will get the snow female of their dreams. One of them will get an instant upgrade to this zombie snow female. So if you were ever thinking about getting into some nice, investment level stuff, now's the time to do it. I know that sounds salesy, but it's actually, we're just doing this to give this away. This zombie snow is worth almost 3 times as much as a purple snow. So I just want somebody to be like, holy smokes, I got a zombie snow. I believe, I could be incorrect about this, but I don't think I am. I think this is the first zombie snow female we will have ever released. So it's a pretty big deal, and it's a pretty cool giveaway. And I'm just hoping that you guys feel blessed and excited and positive about that and getting into the industry, whoever it is that's, coming to get snows from us and stuff anyway. I mean, getting back to bar check, and Jeremy, I'd love to hear some of these stories, honestly, if you want to read a couple out. But I know if you ever listen to his podcast, like if people ever ask bar check about Superdwarfs, and I'm just thinking about it now, I'm so bummed that he never made it out here to see what we had going on, because I was like, dude, you gotta see how far we've come with these. And it's still just the tip of the iceberg. I'm so excited. And we used to talk about that together. And, he wasn't as into the Superdwarfs, though he does have some dwarf retics. He was really into, obviously, taking the, any reptile you're working with to the next level. So he just had the nicest things to say about us and everything all the time. And that was unwarranted. He never had to do that. Just like, I don't think we have to give away the top of the line zombie snow or whatever, but I always felt super blessed by him doing that kind of stuff for me as a part of the community. And so this is one specific thing, little, giveaway that we're doing, but I want to do a bunch of stuff like this in 2024. So definitely stay tuned for the ride. 'Cause for me, all those personal moments stacked up that, influence that Brian had on me. This is kind of my trying to be a little bit more like Brian, is really what it is for this year. I love the guy, you know what I mean? It was just an awesome guy. He was a great friend, super cool husband and father, you know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know. He wasn't perfect either, and he wasn't afraid to admit it. That was the other cool thing. He's always working on himself to be better, more positive, greater outreach. And he's a real guy. He wasn't like faking it and, trying to look good in front of everybody all the time or any of that stuff. As much as people love to talk about like clickbait thumbnails and, YouTube strategy stuff or whatever. Anybody that knew Brian knew how genuine and amazing he was. So let's hear about some of those people. Yeah. Jeremy, you want to share a couple of these comments?
Yeah, sure. As I do that, guys, we had that snake at the beginning. As I'm reading these, shoot your names in. We'll get around to naming that snake. But first off, these stories. The first person to go said that Brian's YouTube videos really reignited the passion for reptiles. This person met him several years ago at the Reptarium, and his passion inspire that person to this day. And I think that's awesome. That's the kind of thing we're talking about, and that's the kind of thing that Brian stood for, right?
100%.
Just a lot of people feel like there's been this void on Earth since Brian passed. Like there's this hole, which I can totally get by. He was a great presence.
Let me just give one side note on that.
Sure.
Like, I honestly feel like if I was to ask Brian, for whatever it's worth, however much I knew him personally, he would want each one of us to step up and fill that void. In other words, we have been consumers of Brian's energy for all these years. He has fed us. He has blessed us, even through some of his darkest days or where we as a community were really awful to him as a person. Like, people think of people as like some faraway YouTuber or whatever. Brian was a real dude, he lived a few hours from here. And people were horrible to him, but he never retaliated for that. He never gave back. He just overwhelmed it with positivity. And he won in the end. He really did. Silenced all his haters, all that kind of stuff. So just with his good work. So I would say if you have been consuming what he has been blessing us with this whole time, now is the time in 2024 to stand up and step back. We're never going to get Brian Barczyk back, and no one out here will ever be the next Brian Barczyk. That's impossible. But I think that we can fill that void, because that little blessing that he gave each one of us that experienced him was a deposit. It was like a seed planted. Yeah. And I would hope that if you took it the way I know Brian meant it, that has grown into something bigger, we should be able to turn that positivity back, that sticking up for each other back, that helping out animals and bringing new people in and sharing our passion and our love, taking those risks, putting our own lives on the line like Brian did, so that people would begin to understand how amazing these creatures are that are so misunderstood.
I like that.
That void doesn't have to exist. We can do something about that.
We have some people met him back in Gatorland.
Mm.
And they're saying he made me feel like we'd known each other forever. Have that kind of, we've been friends even before I know you. That kind of presence is hard to get. It's impressive when you kind of experience
That was that genuine connection, that you feel when you have your friends. You could have 100 people in the room, and then you're drawn to and connected with one person that you know and are comfortable with. And yeah, Brian, that was his talent, was connecting with people that way, and some of it translated over YouTube. But if you ever met him in person, like at Animal Con, which was another crazy event that he came up with and did, you really felt it.
The person said, my wife and I met Brian back in the early 90s. Wow.
Right on.
Started vending shows with them at the Watson show. And streaming with them.
That's very cool.
That's very cool.
That's what I was saying, is like he really was an OG. A lot of people know him as like a YouTuber or whatever, but he had already disrupted and impacted the reptile industry decades before anyone knew who he was on YouTube. So I mean, he really was just going from YouTube to zoos and aquariums, from breeding originally and herping before that, the guy had a serious impact.
One last one, having Brian at my house and barbecuing a huge salmon fillet was one of the highlights of my life.
This sounds like Morph Mixology.
Brian Gundy.
Oh, Brian Gundy. Oh, cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know he hung out with you. For those of you guys that don't know, Brian Gundy is definitely one of those super positive, connect with people educators. And he is definitely somebody you need to get to know. So, Brian, that's really cool that you and other Brian got to hang out and barbecue. That's really cool. That's really cool. And you have a nice house, sir. So I'm sure it was a good time. Well, thank you guys. I'm going to go through and read all these comments afterwards because I can't see them all as we live chat here, but I really appreciate it. I haven't personally had the time to sit down and process this. I mean, you can't open social media today without seeing an outpouring of love and stuff towards Brian, which is awesome. Man, our prayers go out to Jay Tomsky, the rest of the Reptarium crew, and especially his family. His wife, Lori, his kids, his grandkids. We were praying for you guys. I know that the loss that we feel can't touch what you guys are going through right now. And my heart goes out to you guys 100%. But thank you to all of you who showed up here tonight to, toast Brian and a little Irish wake, celebrate the good times. I look forward to hearing all these comments. And if you're watching and it's not live, keep commenting in that comment section below. Because I do plan to sit down and just read through all that stuff. And, I'm gonna miss my friend. I'm gonna miss him a lot. And I could really use that love and support that you guys are sharing with. So yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Well, should we name, I think this might be our first ever ball python. I don't know. You guys know. Have we ever named a ball python here before? I can't remember. But we have this big, beautiful shirt where I was like, oh my goodness. And, I see a lot of piebald babies because I go to reptile shows. But these adults, look at this cool, inky black. Can you see this, Jeremy? Or white? I'm trying to let her
kinda.
not stress out. Check that out. Look at the inky black borders on the white.
Yeah.
It is a female. She is a tank. This snake, I should weigh it, but we just had a Karump I pulled eggs off of that I think laid half as much as this snake, maybe a little less. So this is a big ball python.
Mm-hmm.
The retic only laid 1,355 grams after laying. This girl, I think, is probably more like 3,500 grams. But anyway,
yeah, guys,
she is zesty. Did you see that? I thought ball pythons weren't supposed to strike. She's deep in blue. We're putting on our live YouTube show. What can you do? But you're supposed to be nice to kids. I guess we could bring her out as the mean to Hadley one.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Maybe she can be our
Right?
mean to Hadley snake. Anyways, let's hear what we should name her. You got some suggestions?
Yeah, people were sending them in now, guys. Your
Yeah,
suggestions.
chat in below your name suggestions. If we pick it, I name it that forever, and you can be like, I named that snake. So let's hear it. I know at Retic Fest it's fun when we do our open house thing in the summer. So many people come and they go through and they find the snakes that they named and check up on them, which is pretty cool because we've been doing this for years now. So what should we name this girl? Let's hear it. Read them out and no,
All
not the
right.
names.
Okay. We have Brianna. We have a couple Briannas, I think, after Brian. We
cool.
have Spicy. We have Ka. We have Slug. We have Piper. We have Habanero. We have Nagini. Guys, that was all I had so far. If you have anything else, let me know.
You know what? I like the Brianna name, but
Yeah.
let's pronounce it Brianna.
Brianna.
So my sister, the reason I drove across country was to help my sister move back here to Pittsburgh from LA. And she was named, I don't know if you know this, Jeremy. My sister was named after our Uncle Brian.
Oh, I did not know
So
that.
they named her Brianna, Briana, after that. And I don't have any snakes named Brianna. I have a couple snakes named after my sister's kids. But this one will be named after Barchek. I love that. And
Yeah.
it's the same kind of thing. Like my parents were, trying to celebrate my Uncle Brian when they named their daughter Brianna. So it's perfect. Yeah.
Right on. Right
Awesome
on. I like that.
suggestion, guys. So Brianna the Piebald and whoever it was in the comment section that came up with that. Thank you. I love that. Yeah, that's
Couple
perfect.
people. Who was
That's
Who was
awesome.
the first to say Brianna? Let me get a shout out real quick.
Well, anybody, yeah.
Oh yeah, Brian Gundy again.
There you go.
Yeah, but all
Hey,
of
now,
you.
were you naming it after Barchek or yourself there, Mr. Gundy? Hold on, that takes a new twist.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for showing up. We have some fun stuff to talk about on Patreon tonight. It's for all Patreons, so we will see you guys on the Zoom call. If you're not a part of our Patreon community, do we have a link for that too, Jeremy?
Yep, link is in the description as well. You guys can go on there and see us in a couple minutes.
Jump on and join. If you know how to Zoom, I think after the last couple of years, everybody knows how to Zoom. We would love to see you there.
All right, guys.